Joining us now, familiar face around these parts, former chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele. He is an MSNBC political analyst. Michael, we're so glad you're with us today. Today, of course, is when the RNC will weigh a measure to censure Representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. How do you anticipate it playing out, and what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, the effort is to try to embarrass these individuals, men and women, both of whom have strong conservative credentials inside the party. So the 168 members of the committee will get to vote on the panel recommendation that was led by the National Committee man, unfortunately, of Maryland, Dave Bossie. To censure these two individuals, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, for guess what? Not because they've suddenly become, a pariah on policy, or they've suddenly thrown back against, long-held Republican values. No, because they won't saddle up to Donald Trump and promote the big lie. So this is a stain on the party. It's an ugly stain on the party, and it's going to be one that's going to make it very hard for candidates going forward to really participate and fully participate in the party's political structure, because the litmus test now becomes whether or not you're willing to, acknowledge the big lie as truth.
So it seems that the movement to kick Cheney and Kinzinger out of the GOP caucus has gained steam along more members aligned with the former president. What does this say, Michael, about what you think the impact Trump still has on his party?
Oh, there's no doubt he's got an impact. I mean, they wouldn't know what to do without him at this point. There's no clarity among the elected leadership to break away from it. Certainly not among the political leadership at the state level and nationally. So this cements the long road, the long effort to lock this party in as the Trump party. It's no longer Republican. It is lost all tenets of conservatism at this point. So the reality is whatever Trump wants is what you'll see produced and projected back to the public. And it begins with this effort to censure Liz and Adam.
Yeah, I know we've seen some polling in recent days that suggests that Trump's support among Republicans has slipped slightly, but it seems that we don't want to overstate that. It's only slightly. He is still by far the most dominant figure in the party. So, Michael, I want to get your slightly different take here. Right now, if you're speaking to a young conservative who wants to get into politics but who's watching this and sees Trump's shadow, what would your advice be to him or her? How would they get started?
Well, look, check out what's going on at the local level in your community where you are. It could be very, very different than what you hear at the national level, and certainly maybe the state next door. So it still remains very much what happens locally, your local central committee. But that'll be the test of how deep this rot really goes. And so for a young person who's looking at the party, you have to still evaluate along principles that matter. How you view the role of government, freedom, the Constitution. All of those things should still matter. And if this party does not speak to you in that genuine way, then you may want to be looking at an independent, becoming an independent or doing something else. But it still matters very much what the local party situation is, because that, at the end of the day, is where the action still is. And we'll see that play out in congressional races and legislative races this fall with candidates and how they run at the local level for these various offices. And then you'll know whether or not this rot really goes that deep.